Kính chào quý khán giả. Cảm ơn quý vị đã luôn đồng hành, theo dõi, nhấn like, chia sẻ và đăng ký ủng hộ kênh TCS News and Learning at TCS 62 News. Hôm nay, chúng ta sẽ cùng nhìn lại toàn bộ phiên điều trần rất đặc biệt của quyền Bộ trưởng Hải quân Hoa Kỳ Hùng Cao trước Quốc hội Mỹ, ngày 12 tháng 5 năm 2026. Một phiên điều trần được đánh giá là có ý nghĩa chiến lược cực lớn đối với tương lai sức mạnh Hải quân Hoa Kỳ. Trong bối cảnh thế giới đang bước vào thời kỳ cạnh tranh quân sự căng thẳng chưa từng thấy kể từ sau chiến tranh lạnh. Ngay từ những phút đầu tiên, không khí tại Ủy ban chuẩn tri hạ viện Hoa Kỳ đã cực kỳ căng thẳng. Các nghị sĩ liên tục nhắc tới áp lực ngân sách, nguy cơ chiến tranh lan rộng tại Trung Đông, sự trỗi dậy quá nhanh của Hải quân Trung Quốc, tình trạng thiếu hụt đạn dược, chậm tiến độ tàu ngầm và cuộc khủng hoảng công nghiệp đóng tàu Mỹ. Và trong tâm điểm của tất cả những vấn đề đó là Hùng Cao, người tị nạn Việt Nam năm xưa, nay ngồi trước Quốc hội Mỹ với vai trò quyền Bộ trưởng Hải quân Hoa Kỳ. Điều đầu tiên có thể nhận thấy trong phần trình bày của Hùng Cao là phong cách rất khác nhiều quan chức dân sự trước đây.
I am pleased that this year we have comprehensive conversations with the Navy and the Marine Corps on the budget. And once again, shout out to the Marine Corps for the audit. Good job. Thank you. Waiting for everybody else's. So we do have your justification documents, and the staff has received several briefings on your request. But to be clear, the size of the overall request for the defense spending is shocking. In a base budget, the Department of Defense requests over $200 billion over last year's enacted level. And when combined with the mandatory funding for defense requested through reconciliation, it's an increase of over $400 billion. That's nearly a 44% increase in spending over the last 2 years. And this request does not include the costs to cover the war in Iran. In essence, along with the upcoming supplemental, we will see the department's request approaching $1.6 trillion. We review the Navy's budget amongst the ongoing war in Iran now. And I understand the USS Gerald Ford is finally on her way home, but the Lincoln and the George H.W. Bush are still deployed with their groups in CENTCOM. And at least 5,000 Marines are also deployed on amphibious assault ships in the region. In addition to the threats that our sailors and Marines face, I'm concerned about the broader cost of the war. The skyrocketing cost of fuel will limit the Navy and the Marine Corps' ability to conduct exercises for the rest of the year. We just had a hearing with Secretary of Defense Hegseth, and we pointed out to him that the standard fuel price for the services has increased from $154 to $195 a barrel. The Department of the Navy is also facing fiscal holes in their military personnel budgets, and these holes require a reprogramming request that will leave other programs without the necessary funds for them to be successful. Clearly, this war has been very costly, and it needs to come to an end. Our Navy and Marine assets need to return home and train for the peer-to-peer threats we face. Mr. Secretary, I continue to be concerned about the ability of the Navy and the industry to provide the ships and submarines we purchase on time and, importantly, on budget. I know the administration has designated Admiral Gutthar to oversight the first submarine director, reporting portfolio manager, but as secretary, this challenge now falls to you. And I look forward to hearing for your plans on this subject. I'd also like to understand better the request for the guided missile battleship. $16 billion for the first ship and approximately $43 billion for a total of 3 ships over the next 5 years. That's another extraordinary cost for the Navy. And frankly, It seems unaffordable. With this year's almost, as I said, $6 trillion budget, it's a high water mark for the next few years. But in the next year, we will also have another pay raise for the troops, which they deserve. But I want to add that I hopefully hope that there's a pay raise for civilian personnel, which also deserve increased costs for their inflation and possibly fuel that they and their families are facing. You can see that costs for personnel, exercises and maintenance do not decrease. Large procurement bills for the Navy cannot come at the cost of the health and safety of our personnel. Mr. Secretary, I know that health and safety of sailors and Marines under your watch is important to you, and I know that you're going to prioritize it. So once again, I look forward to working with you all to ensure that everyone has what they need to execute their mission successfully and return home safely. Again, welcome you all to the committee. I look forward to your testimony. I yield back, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I thank the gentlelady. Gentlemen, your full written testimony will be placed on the record. Please give a brief summary of your statements. Secretary Cao, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Chairman Calvert, Ranking Member DeLauro, Ranking Member McCollum, ladies and gentlemen of the House Appropriations Committee. Thank you for allowing me to testify before you today. American sailors and Marines are currently on the front lines of freedom in operations to protect our republic. Lincoln and Bush Carrier Strike Groups and Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group with the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit are in the Arabian Sea, protecting merchant ships and stopping illicit shipping by a terrorist regime. Destroyers Arleigh Burke, Bulkley, Oscar Austin, and Gonzalez are protecting our allies in the Mediterranean against cruise missile attacks from Iran. In the Caribbean, Iwo Jima ARG-MU is stopping narco-terrorists from poisoning Americans with illegal drugs. In the Pacific, Boxer ARG-MU and Destroyer Squadron 7 are enforcing the freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. At home, we're preparing Makin Island ARG-MU and USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, a 49-year-old nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, for deployment. And on the southern border, our sailors and Marines are standing watch tonight saying, "Nothing will hurt you, not on my watch." 3 weeks ago, I was tasked by President Trump to lead the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps. My three priorities are to take care of our sailors and Marines, build ships, and protect our homeland. 120 years ago, the Great White Fleet extended America's reach across the globe. We're currently at the forefront of history with a budget that will create the Golden Fleet, which renews that maritime dominance. We have an obligation to give our sailors and Marines the very best equipment to do their jobs. In our historic budget of $377.5 billion, we're adding 34 new ships, varying from small to large combatants, 123 new aircrafts, along with 5 unmanned ships. In 5 years, we will add 122 manned and 63 unmanned ships. We're funding the readiness of our fleet to 95%. We're procuring exquisite munitions to keep our forces outside the weapons engagement zone, while investing in research and development for the fight of the future. More importantly, we're increasing the service member pays, investing in family and unaccompanied housing, child development centers so that our sailors and Marines have a safe, clean, and comfortable place to live and not have to worry about their families when deployed in harm's way. We've greatly exceeded recruiting and retention goals, and that is due solely to the sheer leadership of President Trump and Secretary Hegseth. Last week, I was aboard USS Gerald R. Ford, USS Winston Churchill, and USS Bainbridge as they returned from an 11-month combat deployment in 2 theaters. Do not believe the fake news that claims food shortages, backed up toilets, and low morale. What I witnessed We're motivated and young, happy Americans pushing the boundaries of performance for their country. It is imperative that we pass this budget. Ship construction and readiness were bill pairs for Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. While our industrial base atrophied, America's peer competitors grew stronger and threatened our sovereignty. Their 100-year plan had one goal: total global domination. Only one thing stands in their way. That is the United States of America. The Navy Marine Corps are America's 911 force, capable of being anywhere as a carrier strike group or Marine Air Ground Task Force with overwhelming firepower, as we saw in absolute resolve and epic fury. A year ago, I testified in my confirmation hearing that I would create the most lethal Navy and Marine Corps team the world has ever seen. I will keep that promise, having worn the cloth of our nation for 32 years, most of which was in combat. I also do this because I will not allow my oldest son, who will be commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps in 10 days, to go to war the way I did, without the equipment that we needed. I will not allow this to happen to any of America's sons or daughters. They signed a blank check to this nation, up to and including their lives, and we owe it to them to do our due diligence to fund a historic budget that will care for them and their families while giving them the tools to answer the call. I have seen firsthand what communism and authoritarian regimes have done to thriving nations. Members of my family were murdered by communists. In 1975, we had no flag to stand under or a country to call our own. But the United States gave us a home. It gave us hope and a future. I have dedicated my entire adult life to defend this nation under God, so this would never happen to my children, your children, or our grandchildren. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify before you. I'm ready to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now recognize Admiral Caudell for your remarks.
Chairman Calvert, Ranking Member McCollum, Ranking Member DeLauro, and distinguished members of the committee, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity.
Rationale behind using RDT&E money to accomplish this?
Congressman, we're not buying foreign ships. We're studying the foreign ships so that we can eventually move the whole production line to the United States. The Korean shipyards and the Japanese shipyards, all these foreign shipyards have been able to develop warships very quickly in about 2 years, whereas our shipyards are taking 6 to 8 years. So we're trying to bring American workers over there to learn how their techniques and their procedures and see how we can expedite our building of ships. I mean, right now we have 80 ships on contract, 59 are in production right now, and you know, we're not moving any faster than we were before. I mean, the way I see it, it's like going to a am I blowing up? I'm an EOD tech, so I'm always worried about things buzzing and timer going down. But it's
Just do what we do and just ignore it.
No, but again, it's like going to the candy machine. Your Snickers bar gets stuck. Putting more money in there is not going to get more Snickers bars out, right? We have to find a way to get around that, and this is what we're doing. Is we're importing, you know, capabilities into the United States in order to accelerate and energize the industrial base, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. A point Mr. Aguilar brings up, and I think that's important, is obviously we're burning a lot of cash right now in these operations, and that's being pulled out of the O&M accounts. Pretty soon you're running out of cash, and that's why we, you know, quite frankly, I think we need a supplemental like today, because you know, we're going to have to pay these bills. You mentioned sustainment and these, you know, the existing operating costs. It's, you know, we got to get this supplemental in before we can get to work on it right away. So please make that point. I made the same point to Secretary Hexeth this morning. So if you could
Yes, Chairman.
send that message out, that'd be great. Mr. Diaz-Ballard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Secretary Admiral, Command.
With his subcommittee about the importance of the Air Force and Navy sixth-generation fighters, which I appreciate you guys being in favor of. My question is this, as my son, Jack here, he says he's going to be a pilot, but I think he's going to be a Marine like everybody else seems to be going right now. Can you tell me how you're changing the way the Navy and Marine Corps does business to produce capability faster and with less friction? And specifically, can we make the Naval Air Systems Command, Navy Sea Systems Command better and potentially and hopefully eliminate the Navy Facilities Engineering Command? We'll start with you, Hung. I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary.
It's quite fine, Congressman. First of all, let me go back to the aircraft carrier, how amazing it is. I was on the Ford. I mean, those young men and women fought a fire and got that ship back in action, launching aircrafts within 3 days. And when I came aboard, they were all happy. They worked as a team, and it was amazing. I mean, this is 100,000 tons of pure American diplomacy, with the 7th largest air force in the world, being able to go anywhere in the world, and that's the American might. But you're right, sir. When I invaded Iraq, we had 5 carrier strike groups out there, and right now we barely have 4, and that's a detriment to what we're bringing to the country. That's why we need to make sure that we pass this bill to inject energy into these shipyards so that we can get these ships out of dry docks and out of maintenance faster. In terms of how do we build better Marines and sailors, this year we brought in 8,600 more sailors than we did in previous years in recruiting. And I'm sorry, that was last year. This year, we're bringing in more than 11,000 more. And so with this, we're able to ramp up training and make it harder and tougher because we want tough sailors and Marines. Because, look, ships and aircraft are going to rust and they're going to go down at some point in terms of maintenance. But it's our sailors and Marines that make it happen. That's the American spirit within every single one of these young men and women. They're going to make do with what we have. So we owe it to them to give them the best equipment. But they're going to, no matter what you give them, they're going to make it work, sir. And that's why I'm so proud of our Navy and Marine Corps.
Thank you. My time's expired. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I pulled a Mike Garcia and just kept on going, so I apologize.
Yeah, we still remember. It's all right. Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great to see all of you. Thank you for your service. Admiral, we've all been aware of the freedom of navigation that has been significantly hindered in recent months in the Strait of Hormuz. Worthy of that experience. For our Navy technicians who are operating underwater, what are we doing to ensure that we're protecting our service members from overpressure, blast overpressure?
Congressman, again, we usually don't have the divers in the water when we're blowing things up. They're out of the water. But again, we are measuring their cognitive skills before they go into training so that we have a baseline and so we can monitor them over their entire careers. Now, I'd love to come discuss with you also the mine countermeasures, since this is what I used to do for a living, when you have an opportunity, ma'am.
Great, thank you. With that, I yield.
Thank you, gentlelady. Mr. Fleischman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But the fact it's nuclear is going to give it the sustainment it needs, in particular in the Pacific. You know, an ocean is 3 times the size of the Atlantic. I need those types of legs and endurance to serve as a capital ship. It comes with that firepower to be able to deliver that combat payload. You can see just trying to do the rearming in U.S. Central Command today is the limb fact of the Navy. Getting to a place where I can actually rearm is a challenge. So the more payload capacity a ship has, the less times I have to do that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to?
Well, sorry, I don't want to take away from the Admiral. He knows more about nuclear power than I do. But I'm telling you right now, if we can even just look at powering our shore infrastructure with nuclear power, imagine what that can do. Also, I mean, you guys are appropriators, and it's about energy. If we can export energy to the surrounding area, that could be eventually become a working capital fund to fix the infrastructure on the basis. And if you put an evaporator system, a 4-stage distiller, we can actually export water also to places like California so they don't have a drought. I mean, there's so many things with nuclear power that that would help our country. It's clean, and again, we've been proving it in the United States Navy for 75 years.
Thank you. Quick question on tactical nuclear weapons and deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. Can you help us understand how the Navy assesses the current outlook and its need for non-strategic nuclear capabilities in the Indo-Pacific and elsewhere, and what additional options can the Navy provide, such as tactical weapons on carriers that would be most useful for reassuring allies, deterring our adversaries, and providing combatant commands useful options in the worst-case scenario?
Well, Congressman, the one thing we have is the slick amend. Right now, we have 14 SSBNs, the ballistic missile submarines, but imagine if these slick amends can go on a fast attack. So that's 48 more submarines out there that are carrying tactical nuclear weapons. That would be a game changer. I mean, even if let's just say we don't load all of the tubes with slick amend, let them guess which one of our submarines have tactical nukes. But let me turn over to the CNO too.
The Secretary's got it exactly right. This is another measure in our escalation management, okay? This is something that we see our peer adversaries doing. It adds complexity to the calculus. It gives us a non-strategic level nuclear weapon that I can field with uncertainty to actually be a strong deterrent, especially in the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you. Excellent answers. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, Admiral, Commandant, for being here, and thanks for your service. I hate to beat it, and those that are just entering to the shipbuilding industrial base to increase our output.
Yes, Congressman. Again, Adrian is, with this submarine modules is fantastic what they're building, and this is why we're looking for all new entrants. We need to find a way to energize the industrial base. I think some of the traditional primes have gotten very comfortable, and like I said earlier, it's like going to the candy machine. The Snickers bar gets stuck. You can only shake it so much. And so that's why we need new entrants in order to energize the industrial base and get things going, and looking at other methods too. If AI, like the CNO has said earlier, if we're able to use artificial intelligence to kind of streamline our processes, make it faster and better, and we get more than 2 or 3 hours of work out of a shipyard worker a day, then that would actually really improve our production and get ships out there now. I mean, it's not just about warships too. We're talking about merchant ships as well. Right now in the military, we have 188 flagged commercial ships and 105 military Sea Lift Command ships. The Chinese have 11,000 ships out there. We need more capacity in this country, not just warships, but also commercial ships. And this is why these new entrants are so important, sir.
Can you speak to how the Navy is doing things differently now that from past administrations to encourage private companies to invest in their own capital?
Again, sir, with the entrance of new companies that are more private venture, it allows them to put some skin in the game. And then I want to thank this committee and also the Congress for allowing us to have multi-year procurement, because then it gives the companies a stable and rock-solid foundation saying, hey, this is what we're going to need for 7 years. We wouldn't have been able to do that in past years without what this committee and what the Congress has done. And again, that's what we're giving. We're signaling to industry, this is what we need. And they're putting forth their money. They're putting some skin in the game in order to get us there.
Of course, as you well know, we're entering our 5th year between the AUKUS partnership between the U.S. and the U.K. And Australia. Last year, the department undertook a review of the partnership and concluded it favorably. Can you give us a status update on the partnership, especially the progress and the outlook of getting Australia its own Virginia-class submarines?
Yes, sir. They still have a few milestones to meet before we get there, but they're moving along very quickly. And the beautiful part about AUKUS is the enemy will not know if it's an American submarine out there or Australian submarine, because it's going to all be the same. You can't see it, and you can't, and it's almost like Slick Men, where, let them guess what's out there. But I will turn to Admiral Cottle, who is very tied in with AUKUS, as well as Vice Admiral Goucher, who is moving forward the submarine.
Let me also just mention,
Yes,
too, that I understand under your new shipbuilding plan that was released yesterday, it projects procurement of 2 Virginia-class submarines every year for the next 10 years. I believe that's correct. But when do you expect the actual hit production rate?
Let me, I'll get back to you on that, sir. But okay. Again, it's taken a long time for us to build these submarines. Again, that's why we need to push industry. And this is why, like I said, we're signaling to industry what we need out there, thanks to the Congress allowing us to do multi-year procurement, and as well as being able to say, hey, we're not going to take no for an answer anymore. Let's move forward. But Admiral Cottle?
I would say we're going to be up on step with that around 2032. Based on the things we've done in place and the things we have now, we should be at the 2 per year in the early 2030, real early 2030s. The next big milestone for AUKUS is the establishment of the submarine squadron there as part of the Submarine Rotational Force West initiative. They've completed 2 availabilities of our Virginia class successfully. Mark Hammond and I, well, first he just got selected to be the Chief of Defense Force there, their Chief of Navy, which is great news for AUKUS. So he's going to carry that forward, and we're all ahead flank on this. So I just got back from Perth. They're making their milestones. There's a couple things they're behind on I'm frustrated with that are part of the support system there, like some of the skiff work and that kind of thing. But all the production work there on the pier and all that, they're making their mark. And the integration of their sailors and officers and maintenance personnel at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard is fantastic. So this is working, and we want to support them, and it is going to turn out really great when we get it delivered.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. You'll back.
Thank you. Mr. Anhold brought up something that just jogged my memory on. Had a so-called expert in to see me the other day, told me that the operable ships in the British Navy right now is at 15. Does that sound correct to you, General? I mean, Admiral?
I know they're having some challenges, sir.
15.
Yes, I won't speak to the number because I don't know it, but, you know, the First Sealer and I have conversations on it, and I know he's having some challenges in particular with maintenance and new construction.
Is that relative to, I mean, does that relative to all of NATO as far as their capability that they have?
No, I wouldn't
present time?
extend that problem set across all NATO countries.
Okay, thank God. Ms. Capter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Assistant Secretary Cow, Admiral Caudle, and Commandant Smith. Thank you for your service to our country. Do not misinterpret any question I'm going to ask you now. First of all, I know you have to follow orders. This is the order I follow. And this order says to me, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. I find your department completely negligent in terms of what is going on right now. I'm very interested in how we are going to pay the bills, not just to acquire the ships you need, but to pay for them. And the people that I represent can't afford to pay more. And so I'm asking myself the question, who will benefit from the current engagements? And I don't know whether you can provide me with this information, but I'm interested in the amount of money that the nations who have not committed troops in the Middle East, how much can they contribute? How about Saudi Arabia? Let's start there. Trillions of dollars in sovereign wealth funds. We don't know where those dollars are invested. What about Kuwait? Have they got naval carriers or naval personnel on the Strait of Hormuz? No. What about Qatar? What about the UAE? What about Oman? I'm looking around the world and saying to myself, you're saying you want $1.5 trillion more dollars. And what's sad is it's retroactive. You've already spent it. We don't know how much you've spent. We can't get a report from the administration. So I don't want to tax my citizens. So I'm asking you, you don't have to answer me today, go back to the Secretary. You ask him who he wants to tax over in the Middle East, or what industries will benefit from this historic engagement for which the Congress of the United States did not vote. And 3 of the first individuals killed were from the state of Ohio. I always say to myself, why is it Ohio? And it was our reservists, okay, in an air refueling mission. But you have to follow orders. I understand that, but I have to follow orders also. And this particular request I find objectionable, and I think there are many others around the world that can help pay for this. So that's my lecture. My question has to do with shipbuilding. I care very much about that. I'm from the Great Lakes region. I care about restoration of the Defense Industrial Base. We have something called the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway. It's been neglected for about 50 years. And I'm interested what we can do to modernize the Welland Canal. And I'll help you, because that only has a 26.5-foot draft. And that's why, but with modular construction, we can do a whole lot in the Great Lakes region. And guess what else we do there? We make steel. We make composites. The machine tool industry was taken away from us by all these damn trade deals that different administrations got us involved in, and our people lost jobs. We want to help the Navy. We love the Marine Corps. We love the Army. We love the Navy. Our people enlist. And so I'm just saying to you, help us, give us I invite you out to our area. How does the Navy assess the utility of modular construction? Do you think that's possible across the Great Lakes region? Can we help somehow?
First of all, thank you for your passion on that question, and thank you for your passion on allies and partners helping us with Epic Fury. I share that. Yes, this is an all-hands-on-deck approach. There is no reason I cannot do modular construction in Ohio. There is no reason we can't, if we so desire, improve the depth of water to actually transport barges or ships from that area. Not all that's engineering possible. And so as we widen the defense industrial base and certainly the maritime industrial base and actually get into additive manufacturing, get into things like modular construction, all of that can be done, and we need the help from all states to do that.
Thank you so very much, Admiral. Thank you for your service to our country.
And Congressman, I hope you'll be here this weekend when we commission the USS Cleveland, and it'll be amazing. It's gonna
Gosh,
be
I
in your
didn't
homes.
know it was happening, but we do have other commitments in Ohio. Maybe Congressman Joyce will represent Ohio. He's an able.
He will, ma'am.
We co-chair
Sorry,
the Great
I'm-
Lakes Task Force.
Yes, ma'am. And again, like the Admiral said, I share your passion about the last person that wants to go to war are warriors like us who've seen death and destruction in this country. This is also the unseen wounds of war afterwards. Again, I've had a lot of traumatic brain injury and as well as PTSD, and I don't want that for our children. But sometimes there's a necessity out there. The Iranians have been at war with us for 47 years. We just didn't know it. They killed our Marines in 1983 in Beirut. In 1979, when the Shah of Iran was overthrown, the Marines took us into to the embassy. I was living overseas in Africa, and they stood watch over me, saying, nothing's going to hurt you, not tonight. And I want to be like them when I grew up, and that's why I joined the military. And all the EFPs and all the IEDs that killed and maimed our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines in Iraq, Afghanistan were built in Iran, ma'am. And that's why we had to put a stop to it now, because history is going to judge us for what we do at this moment. Because they were building out such a huge wall of drones and cruise missiles, we would never be able to penetrate that in a year.
Well, I think you're defending your position very well, but this is an undeclared war and it's un-American. And that doesn't say I don't want to defeat the nuclear capabilities of Iran or figure a work out, but this wasn't done. And it's an un-American war. I yield back. Thank you.
Gentlelady. Mr. Joyce, you can talk about the USS Cleveland.
Thank you very much, Chairman Calvert. We can't talk about the Cleveland Browns, so let's talk about the USS Cleveland coming to town. No, but I know in watching the local papers, people have been watching. I thought it was all coming in like next Friday, Saturday, but it seems like you're already en route, and it's got a lot of excitement. I look forward to it. And building off a little bit off of what my fellow Buckeye had brought up, you seem to be a little more in tune with, trying to modernize the way we go about shipbuilding and getting those things happening. And, the shipbuilding delays are significant challenges to your readiness. For example, press connect fittings and other advancements in production technologies already being utilized by industry have the potential to improve our construction and maintenance capabilities. Does the Navy have a plan to accelerate the use of new technologies as part of this comprehensive strategy to build ships faster?
Yes, that's a key element. I mean, it's riddled through all the investments in the submarine industrial base investments. It's in the defense industrial base investments. It's in the work being done by the Deputy Secretary of War to incentivize, as the acting secretary said, to refacilitize and recapitalize, have skin in the game, if you will, from the actual manufacturers themselves. I'm frustrated a bit on the pace in which people are bringing new technologies in, as I stated earlier, in particular robotics and AI, into ways that I think we can do things a lot quicker. And so there needs to be a way to get after that. You'll see it in PSYOP. It's actually the O in the PSYOP is how we're actually bringing in new equipment. And in our own refacilitization of our own public yards, bringing in state-of-the-art equipment and doing it the same at every 4-yard. So when we train a shipyard worker, they can go do that type of milling operation or additive manufacturing operation the same at each one of those. So it's a lot of that going on. The pace is, I think, a bit concerning that we're not moving faster on that, but it will take some time to see the results of that. And so I do, I just want to be, very set expectation here. There is investment going on that, but it is a new way of doing business, and we need it to take traction.
And I'm with you on that, sir. I've heard, from people who manufacture these systems, lighting systems, other things, that we can't get anybody at the Navy or any of the people who are doing this to talk to us or even look at these things. And you bring up a good point. I tell high school kids when you go, AI is not coming to fix your AC on a hot Sunday or the pipe that's broke in your house. It's going to take humans to do those things, and we need to make sure that we have the workforce along with the AI technology and the ability for plug-and-play type of equipment.
Well, one of the things I could, sir, is one of the things that's very manually intensive is taking an actual design drawing and turning it into a production drawing. That's done manually today through like CAD and CAM software. But that's still a human being at it. All of that can be done with artificial intelligence. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about leveraging. When it comes to production work and torquing a nut on the end of a pipe, yes, that's still going to be a human, sir. No question.
And as long as humans are in control of the actual firing of weapons, and we don't let AI have the ability to do that, I'm with you guys all the way. And I don't want you to feel out, Commandant, so I have one for you, too. Can you discuss how the Marine Corps is approaching the threat that we found in Ukraine now, and since it's changed basically the way we do war? The forces have relied on everything from sophisticated electronic warfare systems to shotguns as a last line of defense. What are we doing underway to push push the counter drone capabilities down the lowest echelon so that every unit has organic means to defend itself? And would accelerating this integration require any additional resources or funding?
Well, sir, thanks for that question. We are doing quite a bit. We have a drone dominance task force led by Colonel Scotty Cuomo down at Quantico, who is driven to get a drone and a counter-drone technology in our hands. Primarily, the best defense is a good offense. So what we're doing is we're proliferating small manufacturable 3D printable drones, which is mimicking what the Ukrainians are doing. Our real issue is going to be employment of those drones. What we want to make sure we can do is we can train with them on our installations, that I don't have to go to the FAA for permission to fly at 500 feet or 400 feet. But we're doing a pretty good job of additive manufacturing and 3D printing our own drones that are delivering small bombs, which is really what's doing most of the killing on the battlefield in Ukraine.
Well, the technology that's necessary for that, we are just developing now?
Well, what I would say, sir, is we have that technology.
Have it.
We have the technology, we just don't have the production rates.
I see. So you're building up the volume as you speak.
Building up the volume as we speak, yes, sir.
Okay. Lastly, Admiral Cotto, operations in the Middle East have reinforced the persistent importance of critical choke points to maritime security. Looking towards the Indo-Pacific, what capabilities should Congress invest to ensure the Navy can break a maritime blockade and deter other gray zone operations by our adversaries in that region?
Funding the ability us to close our kill webs, counter-targeting, our ability to hold high-quality track, precision long-range fires, and our ability to command and control that, and contested logistics.
Great. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. McCollum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been an interesting meeting. As you see, we talked a lot about mandatory versus non-mandatory, what the authorizers authorize, and the money that we have, and everything else. So, to the questions that will be submitted to the questions you were asked today, the sooner you can get us the answers, the better, because the chair is going to start moving on June 11th. And we get our bills done on time, but we can get our bills done better on time with the more information that we have. So I thank the three of you for your testimony here today. And once again, please, for all those who serve with you and under you, we appreciate their sacrifice, and that includes the civilian workforce that works alongside of you too, who's not getting a raise. We've got to fix that. With that, Mr. Chair, I thank you, and I'll submit questions for the record.
Thank you. And I just want to say, I agree with the gentlelady completely here. We're all together on this. We need this information quick. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm just going to ask one last question, Admiral. On the current rate of operations, when do you expect to run out of money?
Sir, I will have to start making decisions to change training, operations, certification events, those type of things we do to generate our force in the July timeframe and the current expenditure.
So that has to come out of a supplemental.
That's correct, sir.
That's
I need a
not
supplemental.
going to come out of reconciliation. We need a reconciliation bill immediately. And we need it sent up here because we need to pay the men and women who service gallantly in the United States military, and they can't do it without money. So please, would you, if I need to call Russ this afternoon, I'll call him, but I don't know who's making this final decision to get this supplemental over here. But we need to get it over here. Both sides need to look at it. Obviously, the Senate needs to look at it. It's going to take some time. And at the same time, we're going to be doing the base bill for defense appropriations. But it seems to me, based on what you just told me, that we're going to need to do the supplemental first and get this funded as quickly as possible. But with that, I want to thank all of you for coming here today. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your service. And we are adjourned.